Hey, good day, my friends, and welcome to Unity Through Past Traumas. What you can't do alone, we can do together by sharing our life stories. On today's episode, all the way from England, I have on a young gentleman who's here making a huge impact in this world from overcoming his life struggles. Callum Groom. Welcome, Callum.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, very grateful to have you a part of the show today. So, before we get started, I'll share a little bit about your background. Callum had a hard go as a child as he moved around with his mother within refugee centers where mothers go from abusive partners, living with a mother who was also struggling with drug and alcohol addictions. Growing up feeling different and struggling with no self love as he tried committing suicide multiple times. Now, today in the world, he is inspiring others with his Facebook business page, Suicide and Depression, and by also sharing his life story to leave a footprint in this world. Awesome. So grateful to have you a part of the show today. So, so
Thank you.
yeah. So, if you want to share a little bit about what you're doing with your life today, with your business and where you're at, if you want to give a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, since I got myself sorted and brought myself to where I am, I thought I need to make a difference. I've been through it. I want to try and support other people when they're going through a rough time, and that's what the page is all about. They can come talk to someone they could relate to, and yeah, from my experience, I'd like to pass my experience on for good, not bad. I don't want my experience to be wasted when it could be used to help other people to
Mhm.
make better decisions and not to go down paths that I went down.
Yeah. And that's what we'll get into is about sharing the trauma that we all go through on some level. And it's a beautiful gift. I'm so happy. I'm really happy and grateful with everyone I have on. And then it's really cool and it's really awesome when there's younger people that come on to start sharing and inspiring, with your life that you've gotten to where you're at such a young age. You are 22. Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Wait a sec here now. He is over in England. So there we go. We got you again here
Yeah,
now.
back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because you are all the way over in England, so the connection might come and go, but hopefully not. So as I was saying, at a young age, being 22 years old, it's crazy awesome that you're giving back at such a young age like this, to make an impact, to start making an impact in the world. But it is from going through hard times. There's so much value about sharing about your life struggles and the feelings and emotions that you went through, so it can connect with other people who are out there still suffering. So, if you want to start off and share a little bit about your childhood, the things that you have gone through at an early age.
Growing up, when I was younger, I moved around a lot with my mother in a refuge, which is a centre where women go to get away from abusive partners to feel safe. And moving around, seeing a lot of abuse, not from my father personally, but from other people's partners coming over, thinking they could get in there. It was traumatic to see at like 5 years old. It was something that stuck with me through my life, and yeah, it was hard, difficult, but now I can look back and think, if I was somewhere else, would I be here today?
Yeah,
That's what I mean. I'd rather go through the stuff I went through, because if I
yeah,
didn't, then would I be here now? There's so many different routes that could have gone, and I could not be here now doing what I'm doing.
yeah. It's amazing how light workers, people who are giving back to the world, bringing light into our other people's lives, when we get to this point, we actually don't regret after the pain and suffering. It's like we don't regret going through it anymore because of the power of who you are today, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Um, so you had mentioned that you grew up being moved around in the refuge So the places for women who were battered by their partners. And you said that you went through traumatic times during those times. What would happen for you as a child when you're in these shelters?
People would come over to smash the windows, kick the door down to try and get in. And me being young, I didn't know what was going on. I just heard all this banging, people screaming. It was just, yeah, it wasn't nice to see.
Mm-hmm. And then did you have any of that? Do you recall any of that when you were a child at home before you started going into those places?
No, not that I could think of. That's the thing I don't really get, is why was I there? Was I meant to be there for a reason? Was that like sort of meant to be my way of life? But I don't remember the bit before it. I remember the refuge and then coming out, going
Mm-hmm.
around different schools, having different. I had to have different lives in different places.
Yeah.
So I don't actually really can tell you
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Okay. No. And then what about when you were moving around at a young age as well? What do you recall and remember about what you went through with the alcoholism and the drug abuse at home with your mom as she was struggling with that?
I remember seeing drugs in the house. At the time, I didn't know were drugs, but that I knew they were when I got older because I figured it out. But at the time, I could just see drug paraphernalia. I can't say the word
Mm-hmm.
drugs around the house, which it her mates would come over. They would have a party. I'm in bed. I can hear them all screaming, shouting. So my sleep wasn't the best. It isn't now. My sleep has never been on track from like since I can remember, because she would always be up all night partying, drugs, alcohol, mates over, and yeah,
And then how was that for you at school? How were you then as a child at school? What were things
I would
like?
be tired. I would, I just, I don't know. I would find attention when I was in school because I didn't get
Mm-hmm.
it at home. I would find someone to give me attention there instead of going to my mum, because
Yeah.
she wouldn't do that because she was too busy with her friends. And
Yeah. So was that more like what kind of behavior was that at school then? Was that acting up, bad behavior?
yeah, bad behavior. I wasn't the best behaved child. I didn't focus. I didn't get along with anyone. I I wouldn't say I didn't bully anyone, but I would always do something wrong in a way. Like
Okay.
I would always get other people into trouble, so I don't get into trouble.
Okay. That actually, I'm kind of smiling because that made me remember. It reminds me of myself when I was younger as well. I used to get other people in trouble to get attention. So, you know, during those years, being moved around, growing up in those refugee places, um, when did you start dealing, or when did you start using drugs for yourself?
16.
When you're at 16.
16 is when I started doing drugs. Yeah,
And then when was your first time for, because you did have multiple suicide attempts throughout your life. How old were you at that age?
my first attempt was 15. Was the
Yeah.
first time I tried to take my life.
Okay. So thinking back to the
I
feelings
didn't
in
feel
your,
like I fitted in school.
hmm, and that was the hard thing, is feeling like you don't fit in, like you're not wanted then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just didn't want to be here anymore at that time.
Okay. So, after that being your first attempt, what stopped at that point for that to not go through, to still be here?
The police.
Oh, okay.
I was
And that,
speaking to child services on the phone, and they called the police out because I was trying to take my life with a knife to my throat.
okay.
So they had to call the police to come and stop me from doing it. Like,
Yeah. So
yeah,
then that was at the age of 15. So then what was your experience like the first time for you with drugs then when you tried drugs? What were you feeling when you first did it?
I thought it was amazing. It was amazing. It took me away from where I was into a different place, a better place at the time, a lot better place at the time. And it just made me feel a completely different person. And I felt happy where I was. It was like my safe haven at that point.
Okay. So what made it feel like that for you then? Like, how did that make you feel like you're at a safe place? What did that do for you?
It just, I don't know, it just triggered me. It made me feel happy, and I'd do it every single night, every day, before work, after work, every weekend. I would physically not be off drugs for more than an hour. I would always be on something, because once I come off those drugs, I got to go back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back to reality, and I want to be in my little bubble.
Yes. Because then that was the same as for myself when I suffered with drugs most of my life as well. I didn't know how to process the feelings and emotions that I went through at such a young age, that we just don't know what to do. And then when we try those first few drugs and getting into it, it's like, yes, finally some relief, you know. But the unfortunate part that we don't realize at that time is our life is going to start going downhill even more, because of the drugs and our money always being spent on it. I don't know about you, but like going out and pulling scams and schemes to try to like make money on ripping people off, whatever the case may be, because we just wanted to escape our feelings and emotions, right, of the suffering that we have at such a young age like that. So
you do anything to get that thing.
Yes. So as you were in your teen years then, were you just partying a lot then with a lot of new friends? Were you in any gangs or anything that criminal type stuff to afford the dependency of drugs?
I would steal cigarettes and sell them, more money, more drugs. I wouldn't say I was part of a gang. I would just do it myself, rob things, sell it. There'd come to a point where I had no money to feed myself. I'd go into a shop and I would steal like a whole week's worth of shopping and walk out with a trolley, because I couldn't afford it. So I couldn't pay for it. That's my only way of doing it. And yeah, I look back at it and I think, yeah,
no.
What did I do that for?
Well, a lot of us who were addicts or who suffered with drug addictions or any form of addiction, actually, because we're trying to escape what we don't know how to process and deal with the feelings and emotions that we have. So, you know, I'm sure we've all done things that we're not happy about and proud of, but at that time we were not doing well within our mind anyways, right? So there's forgiveness there for that, because we've grown and we've learned from it. As long as we've learned from it, that is where the power lies, in learning to forgive ourselves for those times, right? You also became homeless at an early age as well. If you want to share about how that started and what that was like for you with the experiences you went through.
Yep. My mum couldn't cope with me anymore, so she just said enough's enough. Do it yourself. That was when I went down schools, support units, all sorts of stuff, to actually physically being on the streets at one point, where I would take my hand. I couldn't get out. I was stuck in this black hole, and as much as I tried to get out, is
you again here. I just kept losing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry, you were cutting in and out when you started about sharing about how it started for you. Sorry, the connection there. Yes. If you share about how it started for you with being homeless.
It was when my mum had enough when I was 16. She said, "Do it yourself," and yeah, I went downhill from there. That's when the drugs started getting involved, and I couldn't cope anymore. In and out of different systems, like support systems and all that sort of stuff, to physically being on the streets. And when I got on the street, it was rock bottom. That was my my bottom. There's no bottom. There's nothing after that. I felt I was in a black hole, and I was falling down this black hole. I tried to get myself back up out this black hole, and I couldn't. That's when suicide was going through my head, where I just physically did not want to carry on anymore. So that I tried to take my life a lot of times after that. Not because I wanted to, because I didn't think I was going to get anywhere, but I also wanted help. I also wanted someone to listen to me and give me the help I wanted at that time. But at the time, I didn't want to do it because, like I said, didn't know how I was going to be. I didn't think I was going to be here now, but I did. I brought myself back up. I've got a stable-ish place to live. I'm still going, and I'm giving back from what I've learned.
Yeah. So what were those? I can't imagine being so young and being homeless. I really, it's hard for me to try to grasp what that would be like. How was it? How did people treat you? What did you go through? How did you feed yourself? What were you doing at that time?
The being treated was disgusting. The way people treat you when nightclubs finish at 3-4 a.m. in the morning. I don't know what it's like over there. When they all start coming out, they're rowdy, they kick you, they push you, they laugh at you, which also could make me feel worse. They're just laughing, making me feel like that's what I've lost. That's where that's what I could be doing, but I can't because I'm here in the streets. And feeding myself, I would either try and get a deal in McDonald's with spare change that I could get, or I'd have to eat out of rubbish bins. If that was a worst case scenario, I did do it a few times because I was hungry. But and stealing was the thing as well, because at the time of being on the streets, I was on drugs at the same time. So trying to feed a drug addiction and feed myself, it was pretty hard.
Yeah. So then how long were you homeless for? How long were you living that life?
It was about 3 months until I got myself together and on my feet.
Okay. How old were you then? Or you said you were homeless for about 3
20.
months?
Yes.
Okay. And then what did you do? How did you get yourself off the streets then? What was the process in that for you?
I went to my local council and said, "Listen, I need help. I really do, because I'm gonna be dead if I don't physically get some help. I'm not gonna be here because I can't cope with my own thoughts. My own thoughts were scary at that time. They were telling me a lot of things and how hopeless I was at that point. And I just asked for the help, and they put me in this place where I get support with my mental health and with my well-being, which is good because I don't feel depressed anymore. And I have my moments. Everybody has their moments in life, and yeah, it's helped me a lot. And it's being here has made me realize life's too short to be doing stupid things. You want to be doing things that's going to help you and benefit other people when you're not here, pretty much.
And that's what you've already started doing with your life and giving
Yeah,
back in the ways that you're doing, which is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Absolutely
because
love
as
it.
I see it, I'm young, so younger people will come to me or talk to me or open up more because I can relate to them because I'm younger.
Yeah. And what a beautiful feeling that is. You know, how does
Yeah.
that make you feel today when you're doing that? When someone comes up to you and they're asking you or reaching out for help, like how does that make you feel?
I feel like I'm making an impact. I'm making, I know it's just, it could be one person a week, but I'm still making that impact. It could be one person a month. I don't mind it not being, you could like, I could not talk to anyone for a whole month and then someone pops up. That would make my year. That just me giving my advice or talking to them or them talking to me makes me feel, yes, I've done it. I've done something. I mean, that's what I wanted to do, so I've done it.
So to get to this point to where you're at today, there had to have been some help that you received along the way as well. And you know, when we had talked earlier, some therapy and counseling that started for you. How old were you when you started that?
Counselling was 15. And therapy, I started, it's got to be about, therapy wasn't long ago, it's got to be about 2 years ago now.
Okay.
But the therapy I don't seem to get along with as good as counselling. It's one of those, but if I put both of them together, they say it shouldn't work, it doesn't work because both things are different apparently. But I seem to find both of them together helps me because it gets everything out in one instead of doing just one. I'd rather do two and focus on everything at once.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is that you're getting different information and different tools to help your life from two different places that you can combine to help you in your life together, right? For me,
Hmm.
I personally, you know, I started with outside help when I was 17. I'm 42 and I'm still doing it. You know, I'm still always wanting to be better and taking advice, being open-minded and taking advice and knowledge from different people. So I've applied it all throughout the years to my life, right? Just one thing for me is not good enough. And it is reaching out to different areas to get help. So I think it's awesome, you know, that doing two different things like that is great. And how do you
I've always
feel?
said to myself, always try 99% of your effort because it's always that 1% improvement you can do.
Yes, yes, most definitely. So you know, after the years of doing it, for people who haven't done therapy or counseling in some form, you know, what would you say to those people who might have a negative view? Oh, it's counseling or therapy. I don't know if I want to do that. You know, what would you say to them about how it has helped your life?
I would say to them is give it a try because don't get me wrong, it doesn't work for everybody. It's not everybody's thing. Everybody has their certain way to cope with things. But is do it because if it wasn't for the counselling to let everything out in a confidential area, who no one else is going to know apart from you and the person you're talking to, that is it. And that is a good way to let everything off your chest. Go home fresh. You've got nothing to worry about. You've let it all out. Whatever's happened in that week, it's gone. It's a new week now. You've let it all out. Just someone there to just moan or let it all out so it doesn't build up and knock you back down for where you are. You don't want to be knocked back down. You want to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah. And do you agree? Would it be fair to say that even if you do try to reach out and to find help from someone, you know, you might not connect with that one individual, and to keep reaching out to find someone that you can connect with?
Yeah. There is going to be someone out there who you will connect to.
Yeah.
At least there is. You it might take months, it might take years, but there is someone out there who is your
Mhm.
connection.
Yeah. So with your business page that you're doing now, the suicide and
Yeah.
depression page that you have, and then also in the details for people
Yes.
listening or watching, I will have the actual link as well, but I will stream it across here now. So if you type on Facebook on his business page, suicide and depression, it will pop up, and like I said, I'll add a link into the details. If you want to give more detail on what inspired you and the help that you're having to do all of this with your business page today?
I just woke up one day and I thought, I've got to do something, because if I can change someone's life, if I can stop someone, or they come to me and talk, or come to the page, talk to someone, and then that could save their life, because that's what I want to do. I want to like be there for someone, even if you can't physically stop someone from taking their life. That's the depressing thing about it all, is that if someone wants to do it, they're going to want to do it, and that's their way of that. You got to respect that. That's all I can say. But there's always someone on my page to talk to, just let out, chill, just a chill talk if you want, just a normal conversation. If you feel lonely, you can just have a talk, have a chat, talk about what you've done in the day, all that sort of stuff. I've also just recently started working with a counsellor who will be coming to the page to start a little counselling service, which is in the process at the moment, that I'm trying to work with, because it's quite hard. So I've got to look after the admins and the people who come to the page. So that's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Also planning an event for charity, like a suicide prevention line charity, to raise money so they can answer more phone calls or anything like that. That's what I've got planned, which I'm hoping to do next year, if this coronavirus is gone and finished with.
Yeah.
But that's the plan. I want to give something back, because those cool lines have been there for me, and they've been there for many people. And yeah, they need money to keep going, to keep saving lives.
Yeah. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And you and I both know, because people can have different levels of depression, but once you reach that line once you reach that borderline and actually attempting and taking your life to try to take it, it's so important for myself as well, with us doing the same form of work, to give back to those people who are suffering, because we know the depths of depression at the very deepest level of that pain and suffering. And it's having a page out like yours is a very beautiful thing, because it's reaching out to it's not even like-minded people. It's people who have had the past experiences with it that are there to help you. And, we're not stuck within our minds suffering with the feelings and emotions of thinking we're not worthy, we're not good enough, no one cares about us. We go through all these things. The world would be better without us, not having us here. We're like dead weight. So many different random thoughts go through our head. So, if you are suffering, it's reaching out and like I said, checking his page, leaving a message for someone if you are suffering, because these are all people who have been through, or not all of them, but I would assume the majority of people who have dealt with depression, and that are there to help one another, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. We're all in it together. It's depression
community.
is an unbeatable thing, and you can't beat it. You've just got to work together and fight together. It's a losing battle, depression, and it's never going to go away. But if everybody sticks together, we'll make it a better place, and make it a lot easier to cope with. If everybody just sticks together, talks to each other, this world could be a lot better. Because there's a lot of negativity in the world, which causes a lot of issues.
Yes, big time. And then that's why I call my show Unity Through Past Traumas, because it's us getting together, sharing about our life stories, getting the information out there, knowing people aren't alone, not feeling like we should be ashamed, because millions of people are suffering right now going through it. So there's nothing, it's just because people are keeping it within and not sharing about it. So it seems like other people are crazy, when the reality is most people have dealt with depressions at some point throughout their life, or thoughts of suicide. We're not crazy. These are normal feelings and emotions to go through, but it's learning to come together to share with each other and to help each other to get past it, so we can guide each other on the right path, right? So awesome.
And don't let anyone say that you're crazy.
No, definitely not. And the beautiful
That
thing,
that is
the beautiful thing when you and I were talking earlier is that you said that you felt that you were different as growing up, and that
mm,
resonated with me big time because I always felt different, and I still even I'm 42, and I still feel different today. And the beautiful thing is with other people who are out inspiring others who have suffered in life, they all felt that they were different as well. So different is a very beautiful thing when we get to a place where we can give back in the unique ways that we're able to. And if you feel that, so what are two tidbits that you could give back to people who might be suffering with depression or even thoughts of suicide? What things could you give back to help them for tips?
tips. Talk, seek help. There is always help out there for any issue, any problem. There is always help, and if my inbox is open to anyone who feels depressed anytime, any day, night, no matter what. I don't know. I don't care where you're from, who you are. If you need to talk, then I'm always there to talk, 100%. And there's a lot of other people. I know it's scary to reach out. It's a scary thing to do, but trust me, if you reach out, you'll feel better in the long run. It gets a lot off you, and yeah, that's how I
Awesome.
got here, by reaching out.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why it's so beautiful, because we're all different and we have different ways that we got to where we're at. So we can connect with the mass of people to give them and teach them the tools that helped us so we can connect with one another. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. It was an honor for me to have you on.
Yeah,
And I know other people are feeling blessed as well by having this podcast with you sharing about your life story today. So I want to thank you for that. And then if
thank
anyone,
you for having me.
yes, if anyone wants to share about their trauma through their past in some way, shape, or form, and how they struggled and got past it and wish to give back, please reach out to me. And you can through my business page as well on Facebook, Live the Life You Deserve Coaching, and message me there. And then I can have you on my show as well. And if you can click on the share button, sharing this video could be saving a life today for someone to connect with and a loved one that you may know who may be suffering. So please click on the share button. And until next time, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and bye for now.